Hello, everyone. I'm Dana Perino along with Kennedy, Harold Ford Jr., Jesse Waters, and Jimmy Fallon. It's 5 o'clock in New York City, and this is The Five. Eric Swalwell officially resigning from Congress as he gets hit with a shocking new rape allegation, adding to a growing list of sexual assault claims. Some accusers are speaking out on camera for the first time, including a woman who says Eric Swalwell drugged and raped her when she was working as a model in L.A. in 2018.
I believe he drugged my drink. I only had one glass of wine. When I arrived at his hotel room, I was already incapacitated and I couldn't move my arms or my body. He raped me and he choked me. And while he was choking me, I lost consciousness. And I thought I died.
And then he sent me a photo of his penis. Ultimately, it reached a point where he invited me to a hotel to meet him. It was very clear what the connotation was.
Eric Swalwell's attorney is denying the allegations against him, calling them, quote, false, fabricated, and deeply offensive, and a calculated and transparent political hit job. Meanwhile, Arizona Senator Ruben Gallego, who once chaired Swalwell's presidential campaign and described Eric as, quote, my best friend, well, he faced off with reporters for more than 40 minutes today, vehemently denying any knowledge of inappropriate behavior except rumors of flirting.
This man led a double life. He lied to us. He lied to his family, lied to his constituents. Anybody that asks, or anybody, any legal, proceedings that need it, will get whatever they want, without a doubt. Since I told him to drop out, I have not spoken to him.
When you first heard these rumors, should you have acted when you first heard these rumors several years ago?
The rumors I heard were that he was just a flirty social guy. That's it. He became very good at being a predator. And he clearly preyed on these women in different positions. And he became extremely proficient at lying to us, lying to his family, lying to his community.
Well, Jesse, that all escalated very quickly.
Yeah, well, the Democrat machine's pretty slimy. If you think about it, Nancy Pelosi was Eric Swalwell's mentor. She put him on the House Intel Committee, kept him there even after Fang Fang. Jeffries put him on J6 committee. So he was sponsored. He was a rising star, and they used him as a weapon to hurt Trump. And they looked the other way at all of these shenanigans until he threatened their power in California, and then kaboom, coup. Nuked on the eve of the primary. First shot fired Friday in the hometown paper, San Francisco Chronicle. That hurts. It was local. And then over the weekend, you just see a domino of endorsements collapse. CNN gets the woman in spot shadow. The network, CBS, now have 3 women face out there. And then Monday, he takes himself out. They didn't even need this woman on Tuesday. You accused him of choking her, raping her, and drugging her. This was highly orchestrated, professionally organized. This was a political assassination. And I think it was only possible because the Democrat machine knew about all of this for years. And everybody in Washington's admitting they knew about it. Everybody's admitting this was all out there. Did the reporters dig? No. Did the Democrats protect the women? No, not at all. I think it all happened the way Biden went down. They covered up his brain. Then he blew himself up at the debate, became a liability, threatened all their seats, and the coup happened. Same thing here. So the Democratic machine is ruthless. They survive on blackmail, cover-ups, and coups. Now, Trump took on the Republican machine in 2016 and won. But so far, the Democrat machine remains unbeaten. And I'm not saying Swalwell's a victim. He did this he put the gun to his head, but the Democrat Party pulled the trigger.
How do you see that, Harold?
Well, first, it's good to be with you. The allegations against him are so serious and vicious. he has denied the allegations. He'll have an opportunity to defend himself. But you said it yesterday. These things just keep coming. I differ with you a bit on the Democrat thing. I mean, I think this is the wrong question to be asking. I wouldn't ask, did the Republicans, how long do they know about Gonzalez? Or how long do they know about Corey Mills and the things that he's been accused of, women saying that he assaulted them? I don't think anybody in Congress was enabling this. And if they were, they'll have to answer these questions if it comes up in some proceeding where they find information to that effect. This is not a good day for the Congress. It's an institution that has failed to do its job over the last year, so it's been more associated with government shutdowns and defaults on our debt than it has been with getting things done and arriving at budgets and spending bills on time. And now you have this. Interestingly, the Gonzalez matter, and again, I just don't think this is the right question to be asking. But the Gonzalez matter, since we've asked it, he admitted to what happened with the young lady in his office. She apparently committed suicide, and no one had asked him to step. No one had moved to expel him. They kept him in. It's largely because of the politics. It was not until you had the situation with Swalwell, where now everybody wants Gonzalez out because you have an even number of people leaving. You got one Democrat, one Republican, so you don't upend or disrupt the majority in the Congress. We should ask every member of Congress on the Republican and Democrat side, was that ever in your calculus? Because that, to me, is as vicious and as serious as the allegations are, if these people knew these things, as vicious and as serious as the allegations are against Swalwell.
He denies it, Kennedy, but you saw her, the women who have spoken out publicly, it's hard for them to do so. Where do you think it happens next?
Yeah,
Because
and
he resigns from Congress, but what she's describing is criminal.
yes, absolutely right. And Jimmy and I were talking about this on my podcast yesterday. What do you do with your life after this if you're Eric Swalwell? Because I assume when I saw him in the first class lounge and then in first class lie flat beds flying with 4 other people from Newark to Los Angeles, I assumed that the guy was rich. Little did I know that he was allegedly paying his illegal nanny with campaign funds in cash under the table. There's a lot of dubious stuff that has been swirling around him. And D.C. is the most gossipy place on the planet. Much more so than Hollywood, much more so than anything that I've seen in TV or film or music. People thrive on gossip as currency, and they all knew about this. And Swalwell's big defense was always, well, if any of this were true, the MAGA people would have found out about it. Donald Trump would have found out about it, and they would have come after me. And, these are just politically motivated rumors. And he accused the other people in the race of ginning these things up and making up lies and, potentially paying off women to come out and talk about him. But this had been, circling pretty publicly since December. That's a long time between then and now to keep him, this little golden party boy, as the front runner in your gubernatorial race in the biggest, most powerful state in the country. They absolutely knew both these things are possible at the same time. The Democratic establishment can be completely corrupt, and Eric Swalwell can be an alleged rapist.
It does appear that the Chinese spies understand their marks, right?
Yeah.
At what point did the Democrats not think the Fang Fang thing was a tell?
But that's where Nancy Pelosi's defense is so laughable on its face. Because if you're ensnared in a honeypot probe, okay, you get the same thing we got during COVID. It's called contact tracing. They don't go, this guy shagged a spy. Anyway, don't do it again. They go, who else was he texting? Who else was he emailing? Who else was he hanging out with? If I could just jog your memory 1 month, he was threatening to file legal action to deny the DOJ from releasing the files from that FBI investigation. Why? Because the contact tracing might have brought a lot of this stuff up to the surface. So there's 2 things that jump out at me. One is the shameless lying, because Gallego says, oh, I had no idea. It was my best friend. I had no idea. That's like Dr. Dre being like, Snoop Dogg smokes weed? Since when? Where have you been on this? So that is laughable. And just as the head of a small household, on a small scale, I'm blown away by what his data plan happened to be. You talk about him not having money. The amount of disgusting texts this guy was sending, I aspire to be in that tax tax bracket someday, but I hope to behave better when I get there.
On Snapchat, too.
On Snapchat.
And
of
his
all
wife is like, wait, you know, you're 44 years old. There's no way you're on Snapchat. That's for teenagers. And
the
he's like,
level of arrogance. She's making a brilliant point because this is a guy who behaved like he thought he was bulletproof. He was a useful idiot until he no longer was. But in the golden days of useful idiocy, you could open with your closer. You could send something as insanely forward as a picture of the governor, whatever you want to reduce this to. But it's very Brett Favre of him, is what I'm trying to say. And guys only do that because they probably have a habit of doing it successfully.
All right. Those were the golden days. Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.